Hey there. I know that some people are really curious about what's going on behind the scenes in my life because I only show you certain things. And I'm sitting in my office right now and I've got the window open and it's just a beautiful summer breeze. And I've just been having a lot of anxiety and depression, kind of going backwards. And that's a part of trauma recovery. So when I first started to get well, I would say in the past year. I mean, I've been on this recovery journey for a long time, but when I first started to really exit the deep mental illness, I would experience something in the mental health field that's called glimmer. And so I'm probably going to get emotional because it's just a hard day. But a glimmer is a period of time like an air bubble. A glimmer is like a pocket in time where you don't feel pain. It's the beginning of a recovery journey, because eventually what's going to happen is, instead of glimmers, you're just going to have a blip of anxiety or a blip of depression. Everything switches once you can train your neural pathways to not be in constant fear. And so I'm moving, and I'm also exposing a lot to the world, including anyone in my family that's looking. And wondering, is anybody seeing me for the first time? What are they thinking? Does anybody feel regretful, or are they angry about how I'm making them look in public? You just feel these thoughts. And I don't currently have a counselor lined up. Well, yeah, I'm still looking for one. Sometimes you have to switch counselors, and that's something to know, because sometimes if you and your counselor get too familiar, then you don't continue to grow. And so because I have done so much work and I'm so familiar with myself, having done this work, I need to find a very advanced Christian counselor who can really help me see from a different perspective. And a lot of times I get into counseling and they're kind of wowed by the work that God's doing in me, and it just doesn't make for a very productive counseling appointment. Anyway, so sometimes sitting here and talking to you feels like counseling, because I'm just getting my thoughts out of my head, and I'm recording it in case God wants to use it. I don't know if he will or not, but heretofore he has. And so one of the things that's been really challenging about the work I do is It's so personal, it's so vulnerable and so raw, and it's so private that people just don't respond. They don't, they don't, they don't like, they don't, they don't know what to say. For some people, the stuff I'm sharing is just so like a horror film. They can't even imagine. They probably think that I'm making it up, right? But for a lot of other people, it's really resonating. And that's the people I'm looking for. So I want what I'm saying to resonate with people that are going through it. So society just likes to pretend abuse is not happening. And yet it is happening all over. You can just Google statistics on abuse in the United States, and that's what gets reported. That's what gets brought forth. I mean, people are dying all the time because of abuse, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. And what's come to light is the people that are pretty much my generation who were abused and neglected in the name of the being their child, or whatever right that a parent thought that they had to hurting us is, I don't know what would cause someone to think that they had a right to hurt another human being, but they did. And we were all very quiet about it. It was a society when they could just say, you have to fit in. Like, if you don't fit in, then you're going to ruin our entire family. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like these just huge threats to put on a little child to live in a certain way that didn't resonate with who I was. I I was brought up in a very wealthy environment where people are just so superficial, and they just don't really give a darn about one another. It's really about how things look, and it just doesn't feel right. And that was the state of my family. And I thought that was normal, and I hated it. I hated it, but I didn't know all I had to do was step out of the 1% or the whatever the heck percent it is and get to know some real folks. Wow, those were folks that this is the truth. I was led to believe that people without money or whatever were called second class citizens. Like, they were not as important as those who had the degrees, the teeth, blah, 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 blah. Like that God had made us different, and he was like, okay, you're gonna get the wealth, so y'all matter. You don't have the wealth, so you don't. Stop right there. Stop right there if that's you. That is not true. And these people that are raising their children in these little narrow-minded miniature environments and making their children think that there are second-class citizens and they shouldn't get to know them because they have that just we're totally different species, essentially, is what you feel like when you grow up in that environment where you're not exposed to missions trips or communities or healthy environments. You are exposed to darkness, and every day has a happy hour at 5 o'clock, and that's the only thing you can count on in your family. It's tricky. It's really, really tricky. And when you're like me and you want to like show up as your authentic self, and there's so much darkness going on, and everybody wants to just keep everything quiet and keep your mouth solidly shut, you go crazy. You get stage 3 rectal cancer. That's how you get it. You just sit there and you just carry the dumping grounds for the family that's so dysfunctional, won't go get counseling, won't go say, hey, what's up with me? Hey, I've got a daughter that's gone AWOL. What could I have contributed to something like that? I'll tell you one thing. I don't have a close relationship with my sons right now, but I own my part of it. I have had to reach out to all of them and say, I am so sorry. I was so mentally ill raising you. I wanted nothing more than to provide my children a perfect home after having been completely invisible in my home of origin. But I wasn't able to do that because I wasn't well. And so I tried really, really hard. And I think what I did was I protected them from my pain, my childhood pain. So nobody did certain things for me, so I did extra for my kids. And that's not who they were or what they needed. They were boys being born into what they thought was a healthy home. They did not know how sick our home was, and I didn't know that. I was like, we're so sick. We're both of us completely derailed. And we're just in complete denial. And those children had to like figure out the most peculiar behavior. There was abuse, there was addiction, there was silent treatments, there was infidelity. It was there was prostitution. There was just, it was so ungodly. And yet, on my part, I was pursuing God. I was deeply pursuing God. My mind was so numbed. I was so hurt. I didn't think I mattered to a single soul other than my children before they turned 12 and a half and moved on. And truthfully, I don't matter to them the way they've mattered to me. And I have spent a lot of time, couple years working on that and coming to terms with it and saying, hey, I'm not loved by my father the way I thought I was, or the way I would like to be. I'm more of a name and a bank account. And I'm all like kind of pony at the fair girl. But, you know, so I just took like these bits and pieces, and of course, traumatized people take photos of every good thing, because we want to have something to show and something to look back on and something to put together and say, yeah, no, I'm not living in hell. No, look, we've got this and this party and we went out here and, you know, and so I kind of lost my train of thought on that one, but, well, maybe I'm going to take a break. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being a part of my journey. When God called me to do this, I have known the whole time that my healthy version is coming. You know, I've seen it. I have prophetic visions of her. And so it's been easier for me to just show you my mentally ill version, my depressed version, my anxious version, because I know she's not here forever. And I want you to know that if you're in that space and you've been traumatized, a lot of people have not faced the level of trauma that I have, but many people have faced some. And my abuse was not any worse because it's just not on a scale. It just doesn't get any on a scale. It is horrible. It is horrible on this end. It is horrible on this end. It is horrible when it includes sexual abuse. It is horrible when it includes physical, spiritual, financial, mental. It's all horrible. It steals people's lives, and it is happening all the time. Here I am. I'm finally able to communicate what has been the matter with me for 55 years. I know that it's hard to believe. I know that in your head you want to say, you know what, this girl's crazy. She's going through a midlife crisis. And the truth is, I walked away from future inheritance. I was talking to my lawyer. I was trying to make a decision that was best for my boys and me and Brian and our family. And my father didn't want that decision made. He had a different decision he wanted his little dull-minded daughter to make. And my mind had begun healing. And so when Brian and I started making decisions outside of that puppeteer, that leadership and the cult, the head kingpin cult type of thing, And that wasn't going over well. And so it was really important to me, these decisions. These are things that I had worked on for years. Brian and I had done incredible research on the path we wanted to put our family on. We had begun a relationship with an organization, and my father wanted to do something different and actually lied to me, telling me that whole family was going to go do this different thing. And I was like, okay, I'll take one for the team. I was ready to go. And then my lawyer told me that he had lied because my sister wasn't actually doing that. So to hear that my father's a liar, that was really difficult. I think I was 53, and I was not prepared for that. I didn't know that. I'd spent that whole time in complete denial. And so then I asked my lawyer, what is it that I need to do? Or what is the worst that could happen to me if I don't do that? If I make my own decision? I'm in my mid-50s. I mean, can I not make the decision that is right for my family and me, that I've done all this research and gathered this material on, and I'm having a prosperous relationship with this other company? What's going to happen if I do that? And he's like, well, worst case scenario, you lose future inheritance. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. And it certainly is a bit, it didn't matter. It was the most absolutely liberating thing of my life. I felt like the little space capsule going off a rocket and just flying into space for the first time. I felt like that monetary noose was just off my neck, and I was like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much for, it was so long. It was, 50 some odd years. And I'm like just now able to like really publicly talk about it. And the thing is, when you're abused, there's not like a contract you sign. You're like, okay, I won't tell your secrets. I won't, I'm going to pretend until the day you die that you were a good parent. No, there's none of that. So like, it may look like I'm doing this to be vindictive, and I'm not at all. I am absolutely not. Anybody that knows my heart knows that. I am here to serve those that are still in abusive situations and help you recognize you need to practice self-care. Pastors, if you are telling people not to practice self-care and telling them that's selfish, you think you're talking to people born in Christian homes, and I am telling you, you are also talking to people born into abusive environments and discouraging them from self-care or saying words like my truth or whatever it is. Stop it. Those are very empowering, powerful words, and they are not from the devil. And right, they are not exactly what the Bible says, but when you are coming out of a life-threatening, abusive situation, you must use those words. You must take care of yourself. Once you can begin taking care of yourself, you will everything will start to change, but you have to make that first step. You have to stop the chaos. You have to stop the noise. You have to commit to it. You have to go to your calendar, whatever it is. You've got a lot going on. I know that for sure, because that's what we do. We just create mass chaos so we don't have to feel. You go onto that calendar and you pick 5, 10 minutes, 30. It's just a baby step. I am not asking you to go, for a walk in the woods and have a forest bath, although that is one of the primary things you can do for yourself. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do it today. I'm so glad I reminded myself of it, because I've told you I've been feeling depressed. It's exactly what I'm going to do. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go do it right now. You must take care of yourself. You must. No one else is taking care of you but God. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not able to recognize God's provision. It's all around you all the time, but you're too busy to realize it's provision, and you're just so busy trying to change that abusive relationship. You've got to let it go. Let it go. You don't want it. You don't want it. And I promise you, once it's gone and you've turned your back on it, you're like, oh my gosh, your world is going to open to so much health-related things, and you're going to recover. like that's where I am right now. Like I have like I went from like just total toxic, dark, scared, fear environment, like just the creepiest of creepy things in my head and life and skin and everything, ooh, cancer, all that. Now I'm like, no way. I'm moving to Colorado. I'm going out there because it's where I really am healthy. And there's tons of healthy people there, and they like inspire me to be healthy, and also they're believers. They're these really strong Christians. I haven't been around Christians who've been sharpening me or anything in a long time. And there's Bible studies everywhere and churches everywhere. And my husband is a sound engineer, and he loves doing sound in churches. And for some very dark reason, he was prevented from doing that in our previous church. And that's very concerning, especially anyway. So we're going to go do that. He's going to do sound, and there's already 3 churches so excited to have him come out, and he's going to teach the Financial Peace University, I think, and maybe even be a like certified leadership. He's been teaching it for years, and he's so good with finances. He's teaching me tons, and I'm so fortunate, and I love that class. If you have an opportunity to take it, Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, I highly recommend it for anyone, whether you're in debt or not, and especially if you're in debt. But we did it. I did it for like the 2nd time. Brian's taught it multiple times, and it changed my life. It was so powerful, and I'm not even in debt. And so like it was a really great opportunity to get comfortable with your finances. Financial Peace University. It's not about growing your bank account. It's about feeling peaceful with what you have and learning how to make that work. And so anyway, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna say a quick prayer. Lord, thank you for this time. Thank you for this audience. Lord, thank you for the vulnerability you've given me. Thank you for the ability to communicate things that people just can't. And I just pray, Lord, that you would use my words as a healing light to anyone who needs it, Lord. Help them realize that if you have been there for me, you will be there for them. In your holy name, amen.